Hello and welcome to Approachable Meal Planning. We will go over the very basics of meal planning. I will explain a bit about my story with meal planning, why meal planning helps and is worth a try. Then we'll also discuss some side notes that will help you during the process of meal planning and then ways you can grow from here. Thanks for joining. Now, a bit about my meal planning journey. I am no pro. I do not have it all together or figured out. Yet, even I have benefited from meal planning. Let my lack of perfection, but consistent effort be a comfort. Effort is all that's needed. In my first attempts, I just wanted to make sure we had enough food in the house for the week. I focused on quick, cheap, and easy meals like chicken and rice, mac and cheese, hot dogs, hamburgers, mashed potatoes, and frozen veggies mostly. Then the pandemic hit. I was still wanting to keep it inexpensive, but now they also had to be flexible meals. Not all the ingredients were available in store, so I needed to be able to switch it up. Rice was often switched with quinoa, pasta was swapped for rice, etc. Fun side note, we discovered we like quinoa, which is great because it is super healthy. Now that things have leveled out, I'm focusing on including more nutritional value and maintaining a healthy weight, since we do still have a much more relaxed lifestyle due to the coronavirus pandemic. I also know that I personally love snacking, especially when I have an irregular schedule. So I made sure to have lots of healthier snacks available, like Greek yogurt and fruit, overnight oats, and whole grain crackers with peanut butter. I'm growing more confident in my skills. And more specifically, I feel better about buying produce because I know we will use it before it goes to waste. You will also grow more confident as well. The more you try, the quicker and easier it gets. Why meal plan? Meal planning keeps us from running to the grocery store last minute and more often. Those two habits alone will always lead us to accidentally spending much more than we intended. I learned that in the book, America's Cheapest Family by Annette Economides. Their family is definitely much more intense about meal planning, but I did learn a great deal from reading their book. Meal planning also keeps us from spontaneously running to get fast food or eating out. Both of those are usually less healthy and more expensive. I learned this from an article on the Dave Ramsey website called How to Eat Healthy on a Budget. It was a great article and very relevant to our topic. For me personally, the biggest reason I meal plan is because it removes the burden of always trying to figure out what to eat for dinner that night. I'm sure this is not as stressful for a more experienced cook, but I'm not an experienced cook, and I don't even really enjoy the process of cooking all that much. Meal planning reduces stress in my life literally every day. I hope the meal planning will help you too. The first step in meal planning is looking at your calendar and just getting a feel for what your week will look like. Will it be busy? If so, buy some frozen meals that can be ready in a half hour with little to no effort. That way, if you come home working late for one day and you are just not up to cooking, you have a plan. Is your week quiet? If so, maybe you want to prioritize cooking and spend more time preparing. That would also be a great time to try out a new recipe. The next step of meal planning is getting everything down on paper. Start with an easy chart just like this with the days of the week and then 2 slots. In meal planning, I really only worry about lunch and dinner because breakfast is usually very simple in our home. On each of the day where you have an event, be careful to write that down so you can consider it while you are planning. If you're working late, you may not be up to making a big meal, and some days you're gone all day and don't need to worry about a meal plan at all. When starting to list the meals, I always start with lunch. They're very simple because we usually pack our lunch or use leftovers. Here, I've written down that on Monday and Tuesday, we'll be having lunch meat sandwiches. And then on Thursday and Friday, we'll be having tuna sandwiches. And then on Wednesday, we'll be having leftovers. It's always good to build in at least one leftovers because usually anyone will have a little bit left over for any of the meals you've created during the week. It's always good to eat those up. For the lunch meat sandwiches, you can see that I've written down everything that's involved in a lunch meat sandwich. Lettuce, cheese, lunch meat, tomato, and bread. This is so it will make it easier for us to create a shopping list. For each day, write down everything that is involved with your meal. On the second day, I have buying once will be plenty because the packages for each of these ingredients will have more than one serving available. Next, I'll start on the busier weeknights. On Monday, I'm working late, so I'll probably just want something simple like turkey burgers, chips, and broccoli. So I wrote down everything: turkey burgers, chips, and frozen broccoli. On Wednesday, we'll probably do frozen pizza, and I wrote down a frozen pizza. On Saturday, we're going to be busy all day, so I've written not applicable in both lunch and dinner. On Sunday, we usually dine out for lunch, and then honestly, our plans for the weekend really change quite often. So I've written something simple, breakfast for dinner, with all the ingredients. On Tuesday and Friday, they will be regular weeknights, but not particularly busy. So I'm going to choose some meals that are a little bit healthier, take a little bit more time, and may require some forethought, like setting out some chicken to thaw. On Tuesday, I'll do chicken, pasta, and zucchini. And then on Friday, I'll do burgers, broccoli, and mashed potatoes. And I write down all the ingredients that I'll need for that evening. On Thursday, we have a pretty open evening, so I think I'm going to take the chance to try out a new recipe. I'm going to try sweet potato, quinoa, and veggie enchilada bake. I heard about this recipe through another GCPL program called Special Diet, Special Recipes. Now, since I've never tried this recipe before, I may not be super familiar with any of the ingredients, or I also may not know how much to buy off the top of my head to make sure I have enough for the evening. So when I write down the ingredients, I am very specific about the measurements. I have a half cup of quinoa. I don't usually buy enchilada sauce, so I make sure to write down 2.5 cups of enchilada sauce. So I buy the right size container. When trying out new recipes, be very specific with every ingredient. Now we'll start compiling our shopping list from our meal plan. While you do this, make sure you look in your pantry or your fridge to make sure you don't already have enough of the ingredient. There's no need to buy again if you already have it. First, I start with the lunch. It's the simplest. I write down lettuce, cheese, lunch meat, tomato, bread, tuna, mayonnaise. I almost write bread again, but I don't need to, and I also don't add anything to the line of bread because one loaf of bread is usually good for a week. Then I write down all the ingredients for the rest of the week. There's a lot more overlap here, so you can see where I've got multiple meals that use frozen broccoli. I've just written a 2 next to it so I know to buy more. For the new ingredients for my new recipe, I still leave the very specific measurements so I know exactly what to buy while in the store. Then you'll want to add all of your miscellaneous items so you don't have to do multiple trips throughout the week. Some miscellaneous items that we usually end up adding is milk, bread, and eggs because we love having those in stock regularly at the house. I'll also write maybe hand soap, maybe we run out of dish soap during the week. I add that all at the very end. You're almost done. You've got your full meal plan, you've got your full shopping list, and are ready to go to the grocery store. One thing that I found that really helps in our home is creating a meal plan for display in the kitchen. This lets everyone know what the plan is and what you have the supplies for. This also helps when you need to be flexible and plans change. You'll know exactly what you have and what you can do with it. Recipes are a central part of your meal planning. If you need a place to start or find yourself stuck in a rut, I highly recommend checking out cookbooks from the library. I found I really only ever like 2 or 3 recipes from any one cookbook. Getting the cookbooks from the library is a great way to see some new recipes without worrying about spending money or using more of the recipes from a book you bought. Gwinnett County Public Library has many cookbooks, and these are some of my favorite. The last photo is a picture of a recipe box, and it looks a lot like the one I have at home. After trying new recipes and deciding we like them, we record them on cards in our own recipe box. This then becomes a stash of recipes you already know you love and can cook well. During the times I really don't feel up to meal planning, having these go-to recipes has been a huge help. As you know from earlier, lately I have been focusing on including more nutritional and healthy meals in my meal planning. I found the Daniel Plan's nutritional guide especially helpful, but ChooseMyPlate.gov also has a ton of helpful information as well. I really appreciate seeing a visual guide to proportions so I can keep that in mind while planning my meals, and these are both very helpful. Here are some ways you can grow in your meal planning even further. Organize your grocery list according to the store department so you don't zigzag through the store while shopping. This will save you time and energy. Begin overlapping ingredients in your recipes for the week so you can buy less in the store or buy in larger sizes to save money. Couponing is a great way to save money once you know which stores you love and what your favorite products are. Coordinating your meals and recipes with the store's sales can save money, but you will have to plan around the sales and you will need to be comfortable making plenty of recipes so you can be flexible. Regarding these areas to grow, I would be cautious about incorporating them quickly. When I tried to do all of this while getting started with meal planning, I became overwhelmed and was tempted to give it up completely. As you become more familiar and practice with meal planning, they will be much more approachable and helpful. Thank you for taking the time to learn a bit about the basics of meal planning. Meal planning has helped me a lot, and I hope this information will help you as you begin. Don't forget about all the cookbooks the library has to help you get started, and remember, effort is all that's needed. Happy meal planning!